Oh man. I mean, I that experience for me was just a total flip of the life that I had been living. So I was going to public school in Fairfield, Connecticut, and I was doing theater and I was leaving for work and shot a couple films every once in a while. But all of a sudden I was living in Los Angeles and going to work at 6 a.m. every morning and doing schooling at on set. And so just the entire thing was such a total new experience for me, but I loved it. It's why, I grew up making home movies with my friends since I was little and putting on plays for my family. And so all of a sudden I was doing the real version of it. And that team was just so incredible. I still keep in touch with, Amy Bruckner and Craig Anton and Aly Michalka and that whole team. And they became family, and we keep in touch. I know Aly and AJ are making incredible music, so I follow their music career. I'm such a huge fan, and I try to go see them whenever I'm in the town that they're touring in. Craig Anton is teaching in Savannah, Georgia right now, and I keep making plans to go out and visit, but haven't yet. But we definitely keep in touch. Amy just graduated from law school, so in terms of like the craziest, most wild journey, I feel like I'm just so proud of that, and for her doing something new. It's so hard to, when you grow up in the industry, it's hard to leave it. It's like, it's a big deal to step away from that. So it's been really exciting to follow her and her accolades. It's a really good question. If he's still stuck here now in 2022, I would just hope that he's become some kind of like climate warrior, that he's like taken all of his powers and able to kind of use them for good. I never thought of Phil as like a superhero. He's not a Batman or a Superman. He's not anything like that, but he's got some extra curricular abilities. So I'd like to think that he'd be working with Keely at his side at saving the planet. I have a strong memory of one of the first, because I'd never experienced it before, but my dad had come to visit me and we were in my car, probably going to get groceries. And there was a group of kids crossing the street, and they stopped in front of my car and pointed at me, and they all started yelling. And it was kind of the first experience that I had of being recognized with my dad, which was just so wild. So that was, I have a strong memory of that. The marketing campaign around that show was so big at the time. So I lived really close to the Grove in Los Angeles, which is like a big outdoor mall, and my face had been like plastered all over it. But it was a place that I went to often because it was like the mall, go to hang out at the mall. And so that was kind of a real trip, but I wasn't used to any of that. And I grew up in theater, which is there's not a lot of like, they're theater stars, but it's way more low key than television. So I think the whole thing was wild to look back on. What I've noticed now is that, it's not like the entire world watched Phil of the Future. It was whoever was watching Disney Channel at that time. It is not like it was then, where kind of if you went out, you were probably gonna get recognized. But now I notice that the people who do recognize me, it's because that show is such a huge part of their childhood, right? They came home and every day, perhaps, Phil of the Future was on the television. It was part of their everyday like routine. So I noticed that it's the breadth is it's a smaller group of people now, but in a way it's more meaningful because it was so long ago. Just to know that like we made something that made somebody laugh at the end of the day, that's what a gift. Oh, absolutely not. No, I have a hard time watching myself do anything. So I because that show had so many special effects, I remember watching each episode once just to know what it ended up looking like. I don't think I've ever gone back and revisited, which is another thing when I run into people who know the show, because they've likely seen episodes many times. Most people know that show and the stories and the episodes way better than I do. So maybe one day, maybe in a long time, if I have kids, grandkids, like it'll be a fun to look back on. At this point, I'm still like a little too close to it.